9 days. 9 days to prepare his new students to be ready against Perfect Cell. 9 days to make sure every element of his plan was ready so he could lead them toward victory. 9 days to... As he was contemplating the matter to himself as to what would happen with the early rays of the morning sun, he saw the likes of Chaozu approaching him. He turned around and smiled a bit toward the young vampire. "How may I help you, my friend?" The smallest of the fighters scratched his head.
Shenron, may I ask you something?
He then looked away, as if he wished that he'd never asked the question. "Of course. If anything worries you, feel free to speak up."
You know, we haven't really interacted that much in the past, but I think I had a good idea of what kind of person you became since you had your human body created and everything.
The dragon did not respond. He merely gave Chaozu silent permission to go on with his train of thought.
But you've been guardian for a few days and you've changed. Yamcha told me that. Don't get me wrong, not in a bad way, but I have a feeling that you've also gained some of the traits that made you angry at Kami. Is this some sort of guardian thing? Please don't be mad. I have to throw this out.
Shenron chuckled slightly. Indeed, he could see that something was eating up and irritating Ten Shinhan's traveling companion. Now he knew what it was. And to be fair, Chaozu was not wrong. Kind of. You see, there were a lot of things that I hadn't understood before I got the full picture. At first, I was a dragon who was indifferent to what was happening in the here and now. It was not in my nature to know, especially since your time was meaningless. Then I became human and that, well, Shenron looked away to the distance. That opened my eyes to vulnerability, but also to feelings, camaraderie, and an appreciation of life. He took a deeper breath. Finally, I am now a guardian. I see the connective tissue within the world. So many things have finally fallen into place. Chaozu then said nothing. He really tried to look respectful. The dragon could see that he was trying his hardest not to sound confrontational, but it was challenging because he was angry.
It's just being kept in the dark is frustrating, you know that, right? Yeah, we have Dragonballs, but I don't want to die again, Shenron. It's not something that I want to go through again.
The guardian tilted his head. Why do you assume that you are going to die, my friend?
Because it's always been the same for the past few years. It's about the Saiyans, it's about the dragons, it's about the Namekians. We can fight with all of our might, but in the end, us humanoids, we're just cannon fodder, waiting for someone more powerful to clear up the mess. I know that Ten Shinhan would fight to his very last breath, even if the odds were stacked against him tenfold. But
Chaozu clenched his fists.
I'm tired of my sacrifices being just an appetizer for the big bad.
Shenron looked to him and remembered his bravery against Nappa, something that was painfully glossed over. He berated himself for not remembering what the little guy had done during that conflict against King Piccolo too. Chaozu was frustrated. How could he not be? Shenron was frustrated, standing where he stood just a few days ago. He sat down on the ground and looked toward Chaozu. Thank you for sharing this with me. Just as Kami before me, it seems I can also be too focused on my schemes to see some problems right in front of my nose. The reason why I call Purunga and why I decided to train you here isn't because I see you as cannon fodder. As I said to you yesterday, I see a lot of potential in you, something that a being like Cell will always underestimate. But, and he now lowered his voice, looking at Chaozu very seriously, I'm also aware that the being you are going to face is going to be part of me.
Part you? You mean he has samples from you as well? How does it look exactly?
Shenron shook his head.
I can only imagine, but my theories are right. There might be something more than pure strength that he could pull over our heads. Something that even the Saiyans or Piccolo would not be able to stop. But I might have a special task for you and you alone, Chaozu.
For me?
Indeed, but only if you would like to take up the task. I will not force anything on you. You have been through a lot in your very short life, but looking at everyone's unique talents for what they are, I do think you might be the only one who could do this. I have other options, but I would like it to be you. This will not be another sacrifice, I promise you.
Chaozu again said nothing, but only for a brief moment, looking to nowhere in particular, and just over to the horizon, trying to think about the world below the lookout. There was a longer moment of silence, which was almost ear-piercing in a way. But then he spoke.
All right, I'll do it,
he said very quietly.
Do you trust me?
Shenron looked at him with a gentle smile.
Yes, I do.
All right. After Goku and Gohan have exited, next will be Yajirobe and Tenshinhan. Then we will send in Krillin and Yamcha. You, however, will have special training with me.
Chaozu was bewildered, but said nothing.
Before that, you should eat something. Go, start waking up the rest. We have much work to do.
The dragon looked around to see that Purunga was watching him. It wasn't surprising, really. He was wondering if he had heard the entire conversation or not. His face was hard to read, and as Shenron was submitting his new students to some trials, his cousin was doing the same with him. Well, at least they weren't the only ones kept in the dark about the true endgame that he was preparing. Still, when everyone gathered for the morning training, he did not mention a thing. The spar was necessary as they waited for Goku and Gohan to exit the chamber. And they did, to everyone's surprise. They appeared to be in some kind of semi-permanent Super Saiyan form, which filled the fighters with some hope. Well, everyone except Vegeta, who was surely filled with jealousy. He demanded a second stint in the time chamber, but was told to wait his own turn. After everyone got busy listening to Purunga and giving instructions to Tenshinhan and Yajirobe about their training regime next in the chamber, Shenron decided to take Goku aside.
Do you think you two are more powerful than Cell?
Goku shrugged.
Well, not sure about me, but Gohan, 100%. He is. Oh man, you had to see this. I'm fairly convinced that he will be able to take him on.
There was a lot of pride in the Saiyan's voice and the gaze. He was very enthusiastic about his convictions.
Are you sure he'll want to do so, though?
Shenron gave his friend a stark gaze.
What? What do you mean?
Goku seemed surprised at anyone asking this.
Gohan is a gentle soul. He doesn't enjoy fighting as much as you do.
Well, I got a feeling that he enjoyed his time with Piccolo and me.
The Saiyan scratched his head, now starting to doubt himself.
It's a very different thing to fight for your life and to train with your family and friends, and to even enjoy your time together. They are not fighting to the death, but this, what you are about to face, will be.
Goku said nothing for a moment.
I don't doubt Gohan's power.
Shenron looked to the boy, saying his goodbyes to Tenshinhan.
But you must consider the fact that this is still a child, and putting him against Cell might still be a lot. I am preparing the rest just in case our enemy tries something funny.
Funny? And that would be...
Shenron lowered his voice even further, but he was still sure Piccolo could hear every single word, no matter how quiet he said it.
He has my DNA inside of him, parts of me. If he starts to lose and figures out that he can use some of my more draconic powers, there could be some issues.
Goku scratched his head, very unsure as what to do with this processing of information.
I didn't think about that.
Shenron smiled slightly.
That's why I thought about it. But you must face him, just so he won't suspect any rules on my part. I will be watching the Cell games from here. You and Piccolo need to keep everyone safe there, Goku.
The Saiyan nodded and raised his thumb.
You can count on me. Thanks for talking to me, Shenron. I think I can sometimes forget that Gohan is his own person, and will not always agree with me on some things, but you know what? That's okay. We'll get by this.
Optimistic as always.
The dragon shook his head, and then nodded to Yajirobe and Tenshinhan, who started to step into the chamber. Unsurprisingly, he was then approached by Piccolo, who looked at him with his arms firmly crossed.
So, what's the plan? Care to share?
The Namekian tilted his head as he was waiting for explanations.
For now, we wait for everyone to get on with their training. Then we defeat Cell. Very funny. You know, maybe someone already told you, but you're starting to sound an awful lot like Kami. Yes, all the time. And you know how frustrating that is, even for me. And I'm half him, you know. Well, if you're half him, then you will know very well that I have good reasons for not revealing all of our assets right away.
Piccolo groaned, defeated, but then looked to Goku, taking a moment to talk to Krillin and Porunga. After that, his eyes shifted to Gohan, who was blissfully unaware of his being part of his father's plan.
Think you could do it? It feels pretty extreme and inhumane to force the poor boy to fight. I think this is the so-called last resort, Piccolo, and trust me, I can only imagine poor Chi-Chi's heart if she learned about her son fighting Cell. But we cannot deny his power as well. Should we prepare him for this?
Piccolo tilted his head.
Why wouldn't you do it? You are its favorite.
He can still learn a lot from you, Piccolo.
And you'll be doing what exactly?
The Namekian's eyebrows lowered.
Preparing some safety precautions. And also, since I spent most of the day talking to people, there's at least one more person I need to converse with.
Perfect Cell was looking over his Cell Games arena. It took a bit, but he was happy about its current state. The design was simplistic, but elegant, something that would do nicely as the final act in the history of this miserable planet. He will have a soft spot for it though, after it was gone. It was his birthplace, as well as the very place where he had attained his perfect body. All that will be burned to a crisp in the end, when he will finally cement his identity as the ultimate living being. Still, someone was looking at him. Was that with fear? Was that with awe? Or,
well, long time no see. And new clothes for that matter. I wouldn't expect to see you here. Don't tell me, you got a promotion.
Cell smiled widely, seeing Shenron slowly approaching.
I have replaced Kami as the Guardian of Earth, yes, but I see we have both changed. You do not resemble that shifty bug-like creature I saw just a few days ago.
The bio-android chuckled.
As you can see. So you are a god now, How do your god senses feel witnessing the ultimate life form? Is it overwhelming for you?
It is quite impressive, yes, I'll give you that. I don't think it's worth all the lives you took, but at the end of the day, what's next for you? I mean, after the tournament.
Oh, I can live forever, so I plan to roam the stars. Maybe acquire myself a planet or two, or just conquer everything. I haven't decided yet.
That's a bit short-sighted and slightly sad if you ask me, said the dragon, looking very shiftily, and Cell's face started to slowly lose its smirk.
How so? Oh, you hope that you will defeat Goku at the tournament, right?
What about Earth?
As I said, I wish to blow up the planet as a lesson for anyone who stands in my way, and a little bit fun.
Fun?
Didn't you think that you could, I don't know, protect it? It is also your home.
Shenron smiled gently toward him, but his words caused Cell to laugh uncontrollably.
Protect it? Oh boy! It seems like brain rot may come with your job. Why would I want to protect this miserable piece of rock? Why would I care about all those small people who I can crush with a single wag of my finger?
Because at the end of the day, you are aimless. You live only for your fight with Goku, but not because you want it. It was programmed into you. The thing that makes Android 16 different from you is that, despite being fully mechanical, he has managed to develop dreams, a personality, a soul. You, the only thing that you have to do is fight Goku. It doesn't matter who wins. After it ends, you'll be left with nothing. That's why I came here with an offer. You may atone for the bad things you have done after your Cell games are over, and stand for something that matters, or your own pointless programming will consume you. I am giving you a choice, Cell, more than anyone has ever given you, and more than you had ever given to any of your victims.
Think about my offer. Cell's friendly facade was completely gone at this point, as there was a clear sign of frustration all across his perfect jawline. You're lucky that I await my Cell game so eagerly, Guardian. Otherwise, I would have smashed that arrogant face of yours with a single blow. Shenron smiled even wider. You are afraid. Good. You should be. I hope you will rethink my words once you are defeated. Until we meet again, Cell. As Cell roared angrily at the disappearing Guardian, he set up a ki blast in the direction that Shenron had disappeared out of, and he then appeared at the lookout when the explosion could be heard. He watched as the ultimate lifeform destroyed a piece of his perfect arena, and then, trying to regain his composure, began fixing it. Good. The brute came out of him for a moment. The imperfections were still there. The setup was ready. In just a few short days, the fateful moment would come.
Is it wise to set him off like that?
Chaozu looked towards Shenron, looking rather scared. Wise? No. But this isn't the time for wisdom. Mr. Popo, I believe it's time for us to start the special training with this one. Are you ready, Chaozu?
Oh, I think so.
Good. Because for our plan to work, we will have to make Cell even angrier. The Guardian closed his eyes. Time was of the essence, but it wasn't frightening him. In fact, in this case, time was working in his favor. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.